What's a funny memory you have that, if you told someone, they'd think you're lying? A friend once called the wrong number, got the wrong house, and had the right person pick up. So, I was at work, replacing a modem for my boss. I'd removed the modem and connected a telephone to test that it had dial tone. Soon after, the phone rang. It didn't make much sense, because that phone line had only been used for outgoing calls from the computer. When I picked up, the person on the other line just said, "Hey man, you want to see a movie later?" I recognized the voice, too. It was a friend of mine. I was really confused for a second and said something like, "Josh, how did you get this number?" He said he called my home phone number. He must have misdialed my number and accidentally dialed the number for my boss's modem line. At work, he called the wrong number, got the wrong house, and the right person picked up on a phone that had only been connected for 2 minutes in the past 2 years. The odds must be astronomical. It's just a weird coincidence that I'll always remember. Before my husband and I were married, but had been dating for a long while, I was watching Portlandia and bam, there's my husband on screen. Dumbfounded, I called him, and he casually said, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." I had a pet hummingbird as a kid. My mom found it injured on a sidewalk and nursed it back to health. It only had one eye and no depth perception, so we kept it inside. We'd let it buzz around the room, land on us, and all that jazz. My brother told his teacher about it in 3rd grade, and the teacher actually called my mom and was like, "Your son has made up a crazy story and insists it's real." Reality was we had a pet hummingbird, and that seemed crazy enough people didn't believe it. We had a kingfisher, European kingfisher, at our pond. Now, what is important to know is that kingfishers are quite rare in and on themselves, and only pass through our country during migration, I think. I don't know how it came up, but in about 3rd grade it came up during science class of my cousin that a kingfisher is visiting every summer. Her teacher scolded her heavily on her lies. Heavily enough for her to be pissed. She marched over, waited, took a time-stamped photo, went to get it developed and slammed it on the teacher's desk. She apparently got a well-earned apology. I was walking on a hiking/biking trail when a woman rode past me on her bicycle. I yelled out, "Keep the pedal to the metal." Not 2 seconds later I hear an awful metallic noise and turn to see the poor woman's pedal mechanism had fallen apart. She told me, "You shouldn't have said that." I apologized profusely and asked if she needed any help. Naturally she didn't it from me anyway. I once checked in at a restaurant and gave the hostess my name to hold my slot. She then asked for my last name, since the person below shared my first name. When I told her my last name, she looked at me like I was lying. The person below had my first and last name. She laughed and introduced us, and we took a pic. I've never met someone with my same first and last name since. I was playing 8-ball at a bar one night. I'm not very good, just play for fun. I'm on a slight winning streak. My next opponent racks them, and I break. 8-ball goes in on the break, so it's an automatic win. Dude refuses to leave the table, continues to put quarters in, and racks again. I'm like, "Dude, you lost. There's like 8 people in line to play next." He's drunk and being stubborn, and won't leave. So I break again, and the 8-ball drops again. Dude walks away without saying a word. I went to see Mitch Hedberg do stand up. We stayed around a while hoping to see him leaving. He never materialized though. So my husband and I walked towards our car. As we were walking we heard a woman yell from an alley, "Hey, Mitch Hedberg is back here signing autographs." We walked around the corner behind a scary old building. It was like 1 AM and pretty dark. There was Mitch Hedberg and no other fans. Just him and his wife, who had been the one to yell about autographs. He was very high and super lovey. He hugged my husband and me and told us what his fans mean to him. He took pictures of us for his scrapbook page online. He was also hilarious. We were just there behind a building at 1 AM with Mitch Hedberg and his wife laughing and hugging deep into the wee hours. When I tell people this they go silent, and I'm not sure why. I figure they don't believe it. I was driving a friend home to Indianapolis from Holy Cross in South Bend. We got pulled over for speeding, and the cop asked me, "Son, do you know how fast you were going?" To which I replied with a straight face and no sarcasm, "Well, my cruise control was set at 88, so I'm guessing somewhere in the vicinity of 88. I've never seen such a confused look on a person's face. He proceeds to ask if I can step out of my vehicle and into his so he can talk to me while he writes me a ticket. I comply, and as he's writing me up he's explaining to me how he had to do his sheriff training in Indianapolis. He said that the one thing that amazed him was how fast locals drive ESP on I-465, and he understands why I'm conditioned to do so. Soon as he's done with the ticket he turns to me and says, "So here's the deal. You're the first motorist to ever admit to me you knew you were speeding, so I'm gonna cut you a break. If you can make it back to Indy without getting another ticket I won't turn this one in. But if you do you're getting 2 feet. I slow down for the rest of the drive." Started college. Saw my brother's best friend on campus. From a distance. Hard to miss. Nate's 6 feet 6 inches. Skinny. Long brown hair. Fitting of our childish friendship. I straight up open field tackle the guy. From behind. Blindsided. It's not Nate. I apologize. And sheepishly run away. 3 hours later, a girlfriend from high school introduces her new boyfriend to a group of us. It's the guy I tackled. Danny. Super nice and forgiving guy. We've been friends for 15 years. This was a couple years ago, but I pulled up to a stoplight, and another vehicle in the next lane also comes to a stop. The car is filled with what looks like high school kids. The kid in the passenger seat notices me, taps on his window and starts doing the universal sign for rock, paper, scissors. I look at the light, which is still red, and immediately think F it, and play along. So we start. 1.2.3. Shoot, and we tie. 1.2.3. Shoot, we tie again. This keeps happening. All the young kids in the other car are involved and are screaming like woo every time we tie. We literally got off like 15 rounds of rock, paper, scissors and tied every single time until the light turned green. I'm still high from that and hope all those guys are doing well. I was playing basketball in the park with my mom. Neither of us were very athletic. We were just having fun. There was some kid hanging around us, and we weren't trying to be rude, so we let him. After a few minutes of some of the worst questions I've ever heard, he asked me if I could throw the ball at the basket backwards. I said sure. See, had he asked if I could make it backwards I would have said no. But he only asked if I could throw it backwards, which I could. My mom knew what I was doing. Hell, I picked up so much from her growing up it was probably her idea. Before I said anything, I took a half-hearted peek at the basket, turned around. No warm up. Just let that ball fly. I turned back around to watch the obvious miss. I started to say, "See." I threw it at the basket, but all I got out of my mouth was, "See." And then the ball went in. Swish. Nothing but net. Backboard. That thing never even hit the rim. I don't have the will to keep a straight face. If I looked at the kid, I looked my mom and said just like that. She was almost as surprised as I was. That kid told me he didn't think I could do it again. Mama beat me to it this time and said, "I think it's your turn." He left us alone soon after. I moved to a new city and figured I would go for a drive, get the lay of the land. At a stop sign trying to turn right, looking left at traffic, see my chance and turn right without looking. A pedestrian was crossing in front of me and I hit him. Not super hard but hard enough for him to kind of roll up on my hood. He got off and stood up. I rolled my window down and apologized, but he was kind of like Eric Idle in National Lampoon's European Vacation. He kept apologizing, saying it was his fault, just a flesh wound, etc. I decided my sightseeing tour should come to an end. After running someone down in the street, I got a little turned around. Before finding my bearings, I was headed up a hill toward my new place and didn't realize my lane was ending. I didn't see the car in my blind spot and totally cut them off, and our cars very lightly bumped. Immediately stopped next to the car I hit at a red light. The driver was the pedestrian I ran over 20 minutes ago 5 miles away. Again he was disturbingly polite, apologized to me, and did not want to exchange insurance info. There was no damage.